Hey y'all beautiful people, I'm back with part 1 of my top 14 A-level tips, and this video is going to have things that worked for me as well as things that I really wish I had known earlier. So I have this nice long disclaimer in my first video, in my previous videos, so I'll link it in the description below. Do go and watch it if you haven't already, because I'm not going to spend more time on any disclaimers this time. And so let us jump right into my top tip 1. Invest in your environment. Because you're going to have to sit and study at this same table on this same chair for months, if not years. And so it's definitely a worthy investment to look into your study environment right now. So get a good table, whatever you can, clear it out, make it A-level oriented, and arrange your books. Make sure that you know where your things are and can pick up your stuff whenever you want it, and study at your designated spot. I mean, don't study here in this table one day, another table on another day, on your bed the other day. I mean, if you think that you can study while you are on your bed, it is a lie. Tried and tested. Please don't do that. And if your layout is study table here, bed here, it is a bad idea. It is a terrible idea. Trust me, I know. Also, don't forget to get the best chair that you can find. 2. Plaster that internal motivation everywhere. So, first of all, figure out what exactly makes you want to do your best in your exam. I mean, if you're thinking, wait, I have to do my best because everyone wants me to become a dash, it's not probably going to last you for a long time. But rather, if you're thinking, wait, hey, I want to be this, or I want to get this result to make people proud, or if you're thinking, I want to get this result to prove people wrong, all of that counts as internal motivation. What pushes you? So, for example, personally for me, when people said, oh, you have to get an island rank or you have to get medicine or whatever, I was just like, no, because it didn't really align with my principles. And for the longest time ever, I was just like, I don't want to do this, I'm not motivated at all. And so I sat down and figured out what exactly will push me to do best in this exam. What made me do this? What do I want to look back and feel motivated by? And so I came up with something and I wrote it down and pasted it somewhere. Not pasted it, I mean, I stuck it on the board, right? And it worked. Wait, I can actually show you this. Wait. Well, yes, that was emotional and a little bit cringy also, but it was only for my eyes and the cringy worked. So do go sit down and figure out what is going to push you towards this exam. Write it down in big bold letters and paste it where you can see. It can be your short notes place, or it can be the bathroom mirror, or the ceiling when you look at it when you wake up. Because trust me, you are going to need this motivation so many times in this journey. You just look at that and hopefully it just ignites a sense of passion in you again. 3. Concentrate in class. I mean, tuition as well as school. Very important thing in school. I feel like a lot of people just ignore school. Or concentrate in whatever class you are at. If you're thinking, hey, it's okay, let me catch up with my friends because I mean I can get the notes from somebody else, and I mean I can cover it up later, right? Or if you're at your Zoom class thinking, it's okay, let me just eat this and relax because I have the recording, right? I will catch up to it later. You and I both know that later is not going to happen. So please know that it actually makes a difference when you concentrate in class and when you make the effort to absorb the material. So the more you listen and learn and engage in class, the more your teacher is going to know that you are enthusiastic about it, and the more they're going to be willing to help you out. So essentially, you're creating a sort of rapport with you and your teacher, and it's going to make the lesson much more easy for you to understand, because the learning environment is going to be better, more inducive, and you are going to learn much more effortlessly because of that. So do remember to pay attention in class. I think this is really important, and a lot of people regret it afterwards. So don't make the same mistake. 4. Study smart. When you're near your exams, that's like a few months before your exams, you're going to hear people say, study for more than 15 hours a day. And I think that's utter BS. I mean, okay, maybe it works for some people, but I have two reasons to say this. One is, okay, if you push yourself and study for 15 hours a day, the next day you're going to be exhausted and like end up studying 3 hours, or like, just being utterly exhausted. True story. And two, the time you spend studying is not directly proportional to the amount of information you retain. Quality over quantity. Sometimes you can literally be staring at the same paragraph for more than an hour. It happens. And also, sometimes you can study 2 lessons in 1 hour. And that just depends, right? It depends on the person, it depends on the lesson you are studying. So the best thing you can do is to figure out how much you have to cover, figure out the pace which works for you, your own pace, and slot your time. I mean, if you're someone who is struggling to like reach the 3 hour, threshold, don't suddenly say, okay, from starting from tomorrow, I'm going to study 10 hours per day. It's not going to work. You're going to like fall back and relapse in like 2 days max. So basically, build your habits, value consistency. So if you're studying 3 hours a day, then continue to study 3 hours a day for like a week or whatever, so, and then build it up 5 hours, 7 hours, and so on to whatever time you can handle, right? So a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of you asked me, like now suddenly I'm an adult. Anyway, so a lot of you asked me how many hours to study per day, and how many subjects do you study a day? Do you study all three, or do you study one or something? And for all of this, the best advice that I can give you is figure out what works for you, right? Because again, the study time that you allocate to each subject is going to depend on how good you are at that subject, how much you have to cover, the subject load, which year you are in, your first, second, or third year, all of that. And depending on your strengths at each of these subjects, you're going to have to allocate time for each of the subjects accordingly. So a lot of people told us to study all 3 subjects per day or 1 subject per day, but none of it really worked for me, because when I was studying all 3 subjects a day, I couldn't really concentrate on one or give my all to a subject, and hence it was just like all over the place. And when I started studying 1 subject per day, it was absolutely boring, and like I lost interest fast. So what I did was sort of study 1 subject and intersperse it with another subject. So essentially 2 subjects for a day. And that worked, but it might not really work for somebody else. So the best thing you can do is to sort of mess around and figure out what works best for you, and then stick to it. 6. Choosing tuition classes. So in your first few A-level months, try everything out. Go to classes, try them out, figure out what teaching style suits you the most. What do you like the most? And the best sort of advice that I can give you here is, don't go to classes just because everybody else is going there. That's not really the best for you, because every individual is different, and find a teacher that you vibe with personally and stick with them, because everybody learns differently, and that's why it's important to figure out what is best for you as a person. Also, don't go for too many classes for a single subject. I'm saying don't go for too many classes, and not the traditional don't go for more than 1 class, because I am being realistic. And so the reason I'm saying this is, people are going to start coming up with revision classes, paper classes, and when all of it is clashing, it's going to be hell, and it's going to put a lot of stress on you. So you don't really want that. So your time is precious, choose carefully. 7, and very importantly, clear your doubts then and there. Because if you're sitting in a class thinking, oh my lord, I do not understand what's going on the board, please make sure you communicate it to the teacher, because often a lot of people also have the same problem, right? But everybody is just really scared to voice it out. And apart from that, I mean, like, even if it's only you having the problem, you're sitting at a class for a reason. You want to learn and you want to do better, right? So don't be like, I will go home, read through the entire lesson, refer extra books, and figure out this doubt. It's probably not going to happen. You and I both know it. So if you have done your effort and work and all of that, and you still have, problems, make sure you ask it then and there in class, or you stay back after class, or ask during the break or something. But figure it out that day, like then and there, because you're not going to do it later. And if you are not going to do it later, you're just going to end up having an entire build up of doubts, and it's just going to make your basic fundamentals very unsteady. So the most important thing that I want to tell you is, have somebody that you can have to ask your dumb doubts, because trust me, before the exam you're going to like forget a lot of things, okay? Be prepared. You're going to ask the dumbest questions ever, which would have been obvious to you like a few days ago, right? And so you need somebody you can ask without fear of being judged. So it can be your friend, it can be your older sibling, it can even be like a private teacher if you can afford it, or even like a small group class teacher, or it can be your actual like school teacher, or like mass tuition class teacher, or whatever, if you have a good relationship with them. Whatever works, just somebody who you can ask doubts to, because it's really going to help. So those are my 7 points for today, and the takeaway being, mess around, figure out what works for you best, and stick to it. Don't really fall for the propaganda of like everybody saying something and just being confused. What works for you is what's best for you. And I will meet you in part 2 with my next 7 tips. If you have any questions for me, or if you want to get back to me, I am on this Instagram page, and do give this video a like and comment and subscribe and share it with someone if you found this useful and if you think they will find it useful too. But that's about it for now, and I'm gonna go off. Bye.